Demon Slayer has been making the rounds with the recent ending of its second season. Its music, character designs and messages are good, and its animation is god tier, but there's been a lot of controversy about the actual story of Demon Slayer. Some saying that the story is mid or average, and that it's only there to propel the fights, while others simply hate the show and think the only redeeming factor is the animation and the characters are just pathetic. Sure, while Zenitsu may in fact be one of the most annoying characters in anime, and the animation can certainly carry it a great deal, these people are just going to find any reason to hate on a show no matter what anyone says, so this critique will just fall on deaf ears, to be honest. This video will be for the people who do think Demon Slayer is mid or average, as they're more open to nuanced opinions and ideas. Let's break it down a little, that the story doesn't carry the show.
I don't agree that the story is mid, because a lot of people say the story of Demon Slayer is mid, and to me, like, Demon Slayer's story, it's as simple as it needs to be, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's as simple as it needs to be to make the rest of the good parts shine. The problem with Demon Slayer is, like, when you have an arc like Mugen Train and there are like fights that don't stand out as much, it's like really, really apparent, like, just that the story and the characters don't carry the show as much.
I know Gant said that he thought the show was good, so I'm definitely not calling him out on that, but I think he does raise a good point that is fairly representative of people who don't think the show is that good in general. The story is in fact as simple as it needs to be, but not every single piece of content needs to be an epic fantasy or entrenched in high politics or explore and remedy the feelings of the most destroyed brain you've ever seen. Sometimes, all that's required is a young man who wants to kill the bad demon guys to make the world a better place. And you know, Tanjiro's journey is based on him overcoming the trauma of his murdered family and creating a better environment so others don't have to experience the same things he did. This is a perfectly good story beat and is even reminiscent of other good rated shows like Berserk, though obviously not exactly. And perhaps it is the simplicity in which the story is developed, without all the politics or mental breakdowns, that make the show so popular. Let's take a quick look at Attack on Titan. Yes, it's a very good show with great character development and story that's really interesting to look into. But you can't tell me you went into any of the new seasons when they came out knowing what was going on. To understand it, you need to rewatch the previous seasons before watching the newer ones. I know I did. That's not a problem in itself, but it does somewhat make it inaccessible, especially if you live a busy life. Demon Slayer, on the other hand, is simple, yes, but it's also ridiculously easy to consume. There's not many different story elements that you need to remember between seasons, and making it easy to consume and popular, along with some other elements that I'll get into later. In terms of the, we'll say, lesser fights, not carrying the same weight, it's just like Syndrome from The Incredibles. If all fights are Incredibles, then no fights are. If all the heights are such a high standard, you'll just get used to them and won't think they're anything special. It's like how the problem in Dragon Ball is that all the enemies have to be stronger than the previous one because the characters keep getting stronger. But realistically, all enemies can't be as strong as Hashira's or the lower numbers because then it will face the same problem as Dragon Ball. By putting in lower tier enemies, it paces the show better and also reinforces the world building aspects that this is supposed to be a real world with real threats that aren't just the top tier enemies. The regular humans have problems with lower level enemies and it's okay to make the characters fight them. This also has the bonus of stressing the personalities of these characters who wish to do good and not just get stronger. Sure, these lower enemy fights are certainly overshadowed by the bigger fights, but that doesn't make the lesser fights any worse or make the story bad. You would be hard pressed to find a story that's centered on just these lesser fights. The simplicity of the show doesn't take away from it because that's how the show is and was created to be. You wouldn't say that the story of Peppa Pig is bad because it doesn't adhere to people who read Lord of the Rings. That would be a ridiculous statement. The fact of the matter is that Demon Slayer was created for a specific target audience. It's written for Shonen Jump, which is a Japanese manga serialization focusing on manga for teenage boys and young men. The fact that other demographics like it is just a nice coincidence. Some people are different, but I know when I was a teenager I wasn't necessarily interested in really in-depth stories that explore the interpolitical realities of a world, especially in a world that has demons where I just want to see them fighting with some character development. You know, when I was 15 I enjoyed watching shows like High School DxD, so it kind of goes to show what people are into at that age. I don't really think Demon Slayer would be that entertaining if it kept cutting to how the government was dealing with the construction of railways in the face of demon attacks. It could be a fun side plot for an episode or two, but wouldn't be great content throughout, especially because the type of people who whine on Twitter about Demon Slayer being bad would absolutely hate it if there was proper politics involved. We can also have a look at some of the messages that Demon Slayer gives us through its characters, because a lot of them really do make the experience of watching the show so much better. For example, Tanjiro, whose family was murdered by demons, remains positive and very headstrong despite his trauma. He sees the good in others no matter what they've done. He's always happy and trying his best, which makes him a very likeable character and extremely popular. Many of the characters are unmoving in their determination and their mindset, presenting the message that it's okay to be who you are. And Zenitsu, for example, gives the message that you should sleep more if you're annoying. All of these messages are part of the story that make it so great. The weight of many of the scenes, such as Rengoku's fight in Season 2, wouldn't be so heavy if they weren't strong-willed characters with great personalities. What I'm trying to say is that, sure, the story of Demon Slayer might not be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, or explore super highbrow topics, but it really is as good as it needs to be able to tell a compelling story with fantastic characters. Everything in the show that isn't to do with getting to the final bad guy boss helps to pace the show, so it's not just constant fighting and power escalation like in Dragon Ball. But really, if someone dislikes the show, that's up to them, though it seems many people just see the fantastic animation of the show and find it hard to look past it.